Hello YouTubers. Thought I'd do a bit of a book review. We all watch these videos to share knowledge and information, and I thought to myself, not a lot of people share which books they use to acquire that knowledge and information over and above YouTube and the web itself. So if you've got any books that you think are particularly good or we could recommend, then by all means please comment with the titles and everything. But I thought I'd give you a quick rundown of what I've been reading. Collins' Food for Free miniature version and the Collins miniature SAS survival guide, I think, are probably two of the best outdoors survival related books around. They compact a vast amount of knowledge into what's essentially quite a small space, and if I'm going away in the car for an extended period, I find the weight and size worth taking, so I'll stick them in the car if I'm going. US Army Survival, Evasion and Recovery. This is a great book because it tells you how to get stuff done fast, basically. It's the no-nonsense guide, a little bit like the SAS one, although not quite as comprehensive despite being bigger. Basically how to get through terrain whilst surviving. It's a pretty good book to read. This is in no particular order other than size. So next one is a book by the Anti-Terrorist. He's actually got a YouTube channel which covers a lot of the material that's in this book. I haven't seen many videos from him for quite some time, so I guess as other people are, I'm wondering why that is, but hopefully he'll be back up and running soon. But this is a book that he's brought out, and it basically covers various areas of modern society, the way we're governed, law, and it brings into question quite a lot that surrounds what some people describe as the darker end of prepping. There are some touches on conspiracies in here, and it explains quite a lot about the law, and kind of encourages you to really think about your rights and your relationship with the government and that sort of thing. It's called Wake Up Handbook by the Anti-Terrorist. It's a good read. Completely random change now. How a house works. Although this is predominantly described with the American market in mind, in so much as it's predominantly timber-based houses, there are a lot of really useful bits of information here. Now, why would a prepper or a survivalist or someone interested in the kinds of things my channel discusses want a book like that? Well, quite frankly, if you're going to make modifications to your house with a view to becoming more sustainable, more self-reliant, getting more bang for your buck, it's pretty handy to know how your house works. You know, how your heating system's been installed, electricity, how joints are put together, and it gives you a real good appreciation and overview of all of that, so that's a good read. Next is the Essential Outdoor Gear Manual by Annie Getchell. This I haven't read cover to cover yet, but from the flicking through that I've done, it's basically one of the best manuals on how to repair your own gear and how to maintain your own gear and look after it. It's a relatively old book, first printed in 95, but a lot of it is still relative today. How to stitch something up, the various materials used, how to make repairs to stuff. It's a thoroughly useful book. Next up is a bit of a classic, the Rainier's Outdoor Survival Handbook. That's full of information, very comprehensive. I don't need to say much more about that, everyone knows about Ray's stuff. This one, another of Ray's books, isn't quite as much of a manual or handbook as this one is. It's called The World of Survival. But it is a really good read because it sort of contextualises the various environments that he's capable in and that is covered by the series that he did. And it's much more of an easy read, an enjoyable read, and it tells you some sort of interesting facts rather than instructing and covering techniques and stuff. And it's pretty obvious that that's what it's designed for, because you're not really wanting to take that out into the field, a book of that size. Grow Your Own Drugs. This is another book based on something that was on the telly by James Wong. This is a really good book for anyone wanting to start growing their own food and in the future, if you wanted to become more self-reliant, growing your own produce that can have medicinal qualities is really useful. So that's another good recommendation. And finally, this is one of my favourite books, Chris Ryan, Ultimate Survival Guide. If you don't know much about Chris Ryan, Google him. He's a really interesting bloke. Walked out of the desert. Anyone that does that deserves a pretty big amount of respect, if you ask me. And he's written this book. It's sort of a broad-based book with quite a varied amount of content, but it's not too involved, so it's a really good read, and it covers similar things to the SAS book, but in a bit more of a leisurely fashion rather than do this or die kind of thing. So yeah, I really like that book. And then there's just a few that I haven't read yet. So A Comprehensive Guide to Wilderness and Travel Medicine by Eric A. Weiss. You read it yourself. I can't. I'm not sure about the pronunciation, but it's endorsed by Adventure Medical Kits, which most people would, I think, agree make among the best prefabricated first aid kits that you can get. A lot of the stuff that you can buy, especially off sort of eBay, very, very cheaply, you think to yourself, okay, yeah, it's sort of 5 to 10 quid for a first aid kit that comes with 20 to 40 pieces, plasters and all that. But in actual fact, you take it apart, look at the quality, and it's not that good. These guys design stuff that's actually supposed to be used in the kind of environment that picture is describing. That picture's describing, it's made for adventure, as the name says. Grow Your Own Vegetables. I haven't even looked inside this book yet, but it's very thick, full of information, and it comes highly recommended by various sources on the internet. So I'm looking forward to getting time to reading that. And Bear Grylls, Mud, Sweat and Tears.